The Tauros selected 7 players in yesterday's NAHL draft as the organization continues the process of replacing top players from this season's squad. Minot has 12 players going to NCAA Division I and 5 players going to the USHL. The Tauros traded away their first-round pick earlier this offseason to acquire the rights to sign more players before the draft. Head coach Cody Campbell discusses the draft and what he was looking for in building the roster for 2024.
The draft process it's unique in junior hockey, definitely, and especially our league, because you can sign players prior to the draft, and then you also have your returners coming back from the previous year's team. So we do it off need base and try to address our biggest needs first and those kind of things.
All 7 draftees have junior hockey experience. The roster construction continues post-draft as the team looks to find diamonds in the rough through main camp later this month.
There's kids that go undrafted, unseen, that show up to these camps and then become significant players on your team. So it happens every year.
Tauros main camp begins Thursday, June 27th and runs through June 30th. Here are the players drafted by the Tauros yesterday. Isaac Johnson was the team's first selection. He will be coming from the Cedar Rapids Rough Riders. Leon Hagstrom is one of the 2 European draftees. He'll be coming from Sweden's top junior hockey league. Next are 2 Canadian Americans, Connor Wolitsky from the Alberta Junior League and Jack Edwards from the British Columbia Junior League. The last 3 selections are Leo Kabulis from Latvia, Nathan Brown, and Zane Irion. Good luck to those guys. Look forward to seeing them in action.